Before we get started with the video, you guys, I recently uploaded a Naruto fanfic manga of Naruto having the Jogan, as I would really appreciate it if you guys could check it out. The link to the video is in the description below. Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Anime1 back here with a new video of what if Naruto was abandoned by Kushina. And again, if you guys like the content in the channel, please subscribe to the channel, and while you're at it, also like the freaking video. And before I do begin the video, this is gonna be around an hour or even longer than that video, and it's gonna be detailed, not to just not summarizing as I normally do. It's gonna be a detailed what if. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy it. And this is gonna be two series what if. The first part of the movie obviously is gonna be this, which is gonna cover the entirety of Naruto part 1, and then the other part is gonna be of the Shippuden being entirely covered. So yeah, hopefully you guys will enjoy the video. But without any delay, let's begin the video. Minato, Namikaze, and his wife are going to have some new additions to their family. Minato was ecstatic that he was going to be a father today to 3 children at once. 2 sons and 1 daughter. Oh, how he wanted to train his son to be a shinobi so that he could make his old man proud. And Minato already knew that Kushina wished for a daughter. The seal on Kushina had held up pretty well. Just before birth, Minato had rechecked and straightened it again and again just to be sure. Suddenly a nurse came out of the OT and told him that everything had gone perfectly and that the children, along with their mother, were perfectly safe. Minato had a heavy, deep sigh of relief at the last part. Minato had immediately rushed in and had a wide smile broken across his face when he saw an extremely exhausted Kushina laying on the bed holding their 3 precious children in her arms. Mito, a girl who was a copy of Kushina with blonde hair. Menma, who was a copy of Minato, and Naruto, who was a male version of Kushina. But he had sky blue color eyes that Minato had never seen before. From this point on, everything happens the same as Obito attacks, steals the kids, and forces Minato to get out of there. And then he unseals Kurama and puts the tail beast under his control. Minato fights him and, well, kicks his ass. I will split the demon and seal it into our children. Minato confessed quickly and in a heavy voice, I cannot ask any other parent to sacrifice their child if I cannot do it on my own. How I'll split it, I haven't decided it. But I'll figure it out, don't you worry, he said in a reassuring voice. But Kushina started to cry. You're going to use that, aren't you? She asked him. Minato went through hand signs one last time as he clapped his hands together. Reaper Death Seal, he said. Each one of them won't be able to contain the soul of the Kyuubi and the chakra together. In that case, Minato thought, as the Shinigami hand went through him and sealed the chakra in Menma and Mito while sealing the soul in Naruto. Minato, what have you done? Hiruzen cried out. Tsunade, treat him, he needs it now. He shouted, seeing his successor condition. Kushina was crying heavily on the sidelines when Minato stopped Kushina from treating him. The blonde tried to protest, but he cut her off. It's of no use, Tsunade. Minato simply softly replied. The Shinigami has given me 15 minutes for my last moments to be with you and all everyone. Please, it's useless. As for the sealing, the children were not strong enough to hold all of the Kyuubi's chakra. So I split it in chakras to yin and yang and sealed it in my daughter and son, and because of the strong Uzumaki genes, it's unconscious. The boy rests to my son, he said, looking at Hiruzen for the last part. Everyone looked on in sadness at the sacrifice Minato had made for the village, all of them unable to do anything to help him. Kushina stopped crying for a moment and hugged him, sobbing thickly in his chest. Kushina, Minato whispered, softly stroking her hair. Please go and check if the seals have stabilized or not. See if the children are alright or not. I won't be able to rest in peace if my children had to suffer because I made a mistake in the sealing, he said with a wince. And she got up early with a nod to the children at the altar. He smiled as he saw her kisses and check over one of his daughter and one of his son. At least they will have a love of their mother. but Minato's eyes turned icy and calculated when he saw a flicker of emotions pass through Kushina's eyes as she gazed at Naruto with utter hate and disdain in her eyes while she checked on his seal. Suspicion and scenarios started playing in Minato's mind, and seeing this, he decided to take countermeasures just in case. And so Minato turned to Hiruzen. With the veteran shinobi's eyes, Hiruzen instantly came near him, seeing that look, and listened to him carefully. I fear that Naruto will have to live a hard life. And if that does happen, I want you to give him the entire Namikaze property when he graduates. Kushina, being a Uzumaki, has more assets than me, so she should be fine. Minato whispered in Hiruzen's ear as the Kage nodded. You have my word, Minato. Hiruzen trailed off as he saw Minato's eyes drop close and his head drop. A smile plastered on Minato's face, and some final tears rolled down his cheek. Kushina fainted from exhaustion and the shock, while everyone dropped their heads in respect at the man's sacrifice, as the strongest Hokage of all time had left this world. Hiruzen was sitting in the hospital room after having his own wounds treated, and was waiting for Kushina to wake up while he took care of her children. In the meantime, he had postponed the council meeting for the time being. The council member had protested, but he had set them up and left happily when he told them he would retake his position as Hokage. Well, everyone except Danzo was happy, but that had been pretty obvious for Hiruzen from the start. Tsunade had left the village after Minato's death, saying that she was going to live at the Senju property in the fire capital, along with Shizune, as he couldn't live in the village after everyone she trusted had already died in this cursed village. She didn't want to see any more deaths. She had left him as the third Hokage's necklace. It was cursed, as Minato was the last person she had given it to, and he had died too. Well, she had actually thrown it out in the trash, but Hiruzen had kept it in as a sensei's legacy for someone who was worthy enough someday. Suddenly, Kushina's eyes fluttered open as Hiruzen rushed to her side. Sarutobi, where's Minato? Kushina asked solemnly as Hiruzen's eyes dropped down. Minato is gone. I'm sorry, Kushina. Hiruzen said mouthfully, he left us a few moments after you fainted, he admitted as a silent tear streamed down Kushina's face. Where are my children, Hiruzen? He asked. Hiruzen stood up and went to the crib. Picking up the two sons and the daughter, he handed them over to her. Kushina smiled as he coated Menma and Mito, while Hiruzen went back to fetch Naruto to hand over to his mother. But Hiruzen's worst fear came to be true, as Kushina slapped his hand away when he tried handing Naruto over to her. What's the matter, Kushina? He asked dreadfully. Don't you want to hold your son? He asked in confusion. Well, don't call that demon my son, Sarutobi. She spat venomously, making Hiruzen's eyes go wide. That thing took my husband away from me. Don't you dare call him my son. He's the QB reincarnate. Those whisker marks are the proof enough. She sneered at the child. Hiruzen took it all in with his wide eyes, before his expression turned furiously red. What the hell are you talking about, Kushina? Hiruzen snarled back. He just has the conscious body of the QB sealed inside of him. He's not the QB. Have you gone insane? You're a steel master yourself, and we're Jinchuriki merely a few hours ago. What's the matter with you? He asked furiously, while Kushina returned his look with full force. I told you I don't have anything to do with that demonic child. He was dead to me as soon as Minato sealed that monster's soul in him. Two souls, one of the infant and one of the demon coexisting. You make me laugh. As far as I'm concerned, I only have two kids. She spat with a venom-lashed voice. Kushina, please see reason in this, Hiruzen pleaded. You have been blinded by the loss and pain of Minato. See him. He's an innocent child in need of his mother. Nothing more, he pleaded in desperate, trying to hand over Naruto to her, but Kushina tried to slap away his hand again before Hiruzen retracted his arms defensively. I don't believe you, Kushina. You have fallen so low, Hiruzen whispered solemnly. Very well then, I will take care of the boy as my own, he admitted in a stealthy voice to Kushina, who merely huffed and turned her back to her other two kids. I will go to the residence in the far capital where the Uzumaki property is situated, under the protection of the daimyo. Kushina words took Hiruzen by surprise. I'll raise my kids over there and will come back during the time of their graduations, after I'm satisfied with that training, as he promised as Hiruzen nodded wordlessly. Minato, you truly were a genius in every sense of the word. I never believed Kushina could do such a thing to her own son until now. But you saw right through her. Even in the face of that, you took precautions. Don't worry, old friend. I'll protect Naruto from every danger, whether it be from outside or inside. I'll honor your every wish and give him his inheritance after he's ready, and to protect himself. Until then, he even thought in his mind, I shall take some scrolls and things from the Namikaze compound too before I leave. Kushina broke his train of thoughts, and I know that I can disown him from both of the Uzumaki and Namikaze clans. So he said, Hiruzen hardened his eyes and spoke in an even tone. I'm sorry, Kushina, but Minato has left with specific instructions with me, in case something like this happened after his death. He declared Naruto as his clan hero in his dying moments, and sealed off the Namikaze fortune until Naruto is ready to claim it. Until that time comes, no one shall touch the speck of the grass on the Namikaze family fortune on their scrolls. He had already imagined the scenario even in the face of death and took many steps necessary before he passed on. Minato has left me with the specific instructions that you may do whatever you wish with the Uzumaki clan fortune, but with the fortune of the Namikaze clan is sealed until the time I deem Naruto is ready to claim it. Hiruzen said coldly. You can't do that to me, Kushina protested. I am his wife. The fortune is mine and our kids. Minato would never do such a thing to me. The Namikaze clan fortune belongs to me and my kids alone, and not to that thing. She spat with utter contempt. That thing, as you call it, is the last child to inherit the strong Namikaze traits, and Minato has named him as his heir in his last moments. You do what you want with the Uzumaki fortune, but you will have no say with the Namikaze clan affairs from now on. I am the legal guardian to it until Naruto claims it. Now, I will take my leave. I have a council meeting to attend to. You can leave the village anytime you wish. The sooner the better, he said as he left her in the room as he stomped out of his way. Time skip. 4 years later, Hiruzen was in the Namikaze clan compound as he was looking through some scrolls as Jiraiya was beside him. Sensei, I found it, he said as Hiruzen rushed towards Jiraiya as he started reading the scroll with Jiraiya. Yeah, seems like it. Now at least we have an idea what Naruto's abilities are and we can train him accordingly. Hiruzen said as Jiraiya nodded. Yeah, Minato did tell me that he was not from the Namikaze clan, but something known as the Gojo clan, and he didn't inherit any of the special abilities, but Naruto on the other hand, looks like he hit the jackpot, Jiraiya said, as before he could continue the conversation, they heard an explosion as they went towards the compound training grounds to see a huge rock destroyed as a red-haired boy was standing there with lightning coursing through his hands, as Kakashi, who was there, had his eyes widened. Well, I guess you have mastered that as well, Kakashi said with a sweat drop. Hiruzen and Jiraiya came towards the boys. Naruto, what did you do? Hiruzen asked. Naruto with a smirk looked at Hiruzen. I mastered my natural infinity to my chakra, being lightning, he said as Hiruzen sighed. Why was he so surprised? By what was written on the scroll and what Naruto had done in the past, this was to be expected. As a thought popped into Hiruzen's mind. Naruto, would you like to join the Ninja Academy? He said as Naruto's eyes widened as he got a huge smile on his face. Really? I can? He asked. Hiruzen nodded. At this point, all you need is battle experience, and from what I understand, you'll probably graduate the academy in 1 year, seeing how fast you progress. He said as Naruto hugged Hiruzen. Naruto entered the academy as he looked at the sheet on his hand. 208 it said as Naruto searched for the classroom and he finally found it. As he entered the class with his eyes started to analyze everything in the classroom. As he noticed all the girls and boys were at least 7 years old. That meant he was the smallest there. as even Naruto grinned as the teacher told him to introduce himself. As he said, "Name's Namikaze Naruto. Hope we can all get along," he said, as he pointed his finger towards one boy in particular. "Teacher, can I sit beside him?" he says, as the teacher blinked as he saw the seat was of Itachi. As the teacher nodded, and the boy sat beside him as Naruto whispered something in Itachi's ear. "Hey, you are a shadow clone, aren't ya?" he said as Itachi's eyes widened. He looked at Naruto, who smirked. "Don't worry, I won't tell anyone," he said, as from that point on, Naruto and Itachi became good friends. As after a month of talking, Itachi invited Naruto to his home as Naruto entered the Uchiha compound. As he saw a girl who was his age rushing towards Itachi and hugged him. "Big bro, you're back. Can you play ninja with me?" she asked, as Itachi poked her on the forehead. "Sorry, Sayuri, not today. As you can see, I brought my friend over, and we will spar in a few minutes after father comes," Itachi said as the girl looked at Naruto. "But he's my age. There's no way that he can keep up with you," she said as Itachi smiled. "You'll be surprised," he said, as then, after some time, Fugaku arrived. "So, you're Naruto. I have heard so many things about you from Itachi," he said as Naruto bowed his head. "It's an honor to meet you, the leader of the Uchiha clan," and Naruto said as Fugaku smiled. "Well, why don't we get right into it? I want to see how well you fare up against my son," Fugaku said as Naruto grinned. In the training grounds, Naruto and Itachi were looking at each other as Fugaku and Sayuri were on the sidelines to watch the sparring match. As Fugaku nodded as he brought his hand down. "Start," he said as both the boys went into a sparring battle where Itachi was physically stronger due to his age and size difference. Naruto, on the other hand, was faster as Fugaku was looking at Naruto's movements. Only one thing popped into his mind. His movements is as if he has a Sharingan. As Naruto and Itachi jumped away, Itachi went through hand signs. "Fire style, fireball jutsu," he said as Naruto grinned, as Fugaku's eyes widened seeing the jutsu that Naruto was about to perform. "Purple lightning," Naruto said as his arm became covered in lightning as he sent the stream of lightning towards the fireball as there was a mini explosion. Before anyone could say anything or do anything, Itachi was down and Naruto had a kunai to his face. "Man, that was something," Naruto said as he retracted his kunai. Itachi was shocked. "How did you see in the smoke?" Naruto pointed towards his eyes. "Let's just say that I have special eyes," he said as Itachi was confused but nodded. Fugaku looked at his daughter. She was in awe and disbelief. Someone who was her age defeated Itachi, her genius older brother, as someone else was also watching the entire fight in the trees, as that was Shisui as he looked at Naruto. "That kid's something special," he thought, as from that day on, Naruto and Itachi would spar again and again, improving their skills as Sayuri watched them from far and warmed up to Naruto as they had a decent relationship. As Naruto, soon, both Naruto and Itachi graduated from the academy and they were put on the same team along with a girl named Anko, as their sensei being Shikaku Nara, as the team would go on to many missions and breeze through all of them. As Shikaku decided that they were ready for the Chunin exams and breezed through the Chunin exams, they did. The team created a record in the Forest of Death and Naruto created a record of scoring the highest in the written exams test. And in the final rounds, though Anko lost, but Itachi and Naruto went to the finals. Naruto and Itachi went to the finals, and because, well, Naruto was simply just right now so much stronger than Itachi because of the 6 eyes, that he simply won because Itachi was not able to keep up with Naruto. So Naruto won the Chunin exams as Itachi and Naruto were promoted to Chunin, as Anko was a genin still, unfortunately. As soon as the boys would go on a mission with the Jonin, as there would be an encounter with a man was carrying a huge blade on his back, as that man was one of the 7 swordsmen of the Hidden Mist village. As Naruto to the Jonin and Itachi tried to do their best, but they couldn't beat the man, as the man killed the Jonin, left Naruto in a near-death state and stabbing him in the heart, while he left Itachi with a huge cut on his back and also killed the client. As the man was preparing to leave, he felt something as he looked behind to see Naruto standing there. "What?" the man thought as Naruto looked at him. "Hey, where are you going?" Naruto asked as the man saw the wound being healed in Naruto's chest. Instant healing, he thought, as Naruto grinned. "You should have stabbed me in the head if you really wanted to kill me. But because now you have lost." Naruto said as the man took out his blade. "Our battle has just begun," he said as he rushed towards Naruto, but Naruto ducked under the attack and pointed his finger towards the man's stomach. "Curse technique reversal. Red," he said as he stood up the attack as the man didn't have enough time as he looked down to see a huge hole in his stomach as the man coughed up blood and dropped dead. As Naruto carried Itachi back and meet with the Hokage. As the Hokage saw Naruto entering the office and as he looked at him, is that you, Naruto?" Hiruzen asked, because the aura that the boy was giving off was different than before, as Naruto would nod and explain the entire mission to Hiruzen. As before leaving, Naruto would ask Hiruzen a question. "Hey, old man, is there really a meaning to this?" he asked as Hiruzen looked at him confused. "What do you mean, my boy?" he asked. "Being a ninja, old man, is there really a point? Why can't people live their lives without being one?" he asked as Hiruzen took a puff of smoke and exhaled it. "Well, to be honest, my boy, the only reason most people become ninja is to protect their loved ones. And beside that, money is also a factor. Being a ninja does pay good," he said as Naruto nodded and left the office, as Hiruzen was concerned about the boy. Naruto was with Itachi and Anko as he nodded his head as Anko threw shuriken and Itachi threw explosive tags at him as they all stopped just before making contact with Naruto. "Well, I guess that works," Naruto said as Itachi spoke. "An automatic activation of a technique?" "Yes," he said as Naruto nodded. "I mastered blue, red, and purple completely. Now all I have to work is, well, short distance teleportation and my domain," he said as Itachi looked at him. They both were relative in strength before, but now Naruto had left him completely in the dust. And don't get him wrong, he wasn't jealous or anything. It's just that he felt that he was left behind. As then the Uchiha massacre happened. As Itachi was walking out of the village, someone shouted, "Itachi, you better explain yourself," Naruto said as Itachi turned around with his Mangekyo Sharingan activated. "Naruto, I'll tell you, but promise me this. This stays between us. You and I are best friends after all," he said as Naruto nodded. Itachi put Naruto under a genjutsu and showed him the entire truth about the Uchiha clan. As Naruto looked at him after the genjutsu was finished. "I see," Naruto said as Itachi smiled. "Please take care of Sayuri," he said as Naruto nodded as Itachi started to walk. Naruto just stood there as he was powerless. What could he do? Sayuri opened her eyes as the memories hit her. She cried and cried until her tears had run out dry. "So, what do you plan on doing now?" she asked. He looked at the window to see Naruto. He was there the entire time and yet she didn't notice him. I don't know," she said, as there was a silence. "Tradition, and listen to my words carefully. A true ninja should always look through deception. Your reality might be an illusion created by someone before you decided your goals based on what the other's words say. Think about it rationally and then act," he said as Sayuri looked at him. What was he trying to say to her? She knew for a fact that Naruto was suffering as well because Naruto only considered Itachi his best friend and losing him must hurt a lot. "And you'll be living with me from now on," Naruto said as he threw the keys towards her and disappeared. She knew it. This was his way of comforting her. A tear started to flow down her face as he kept on hearing Naruto's words again and again instead of Itachi's. Jiraiya was in the Namikaze compound. "So, how are you?" he asked as Naruto just looked up while sitting. "Hey Jiraiya, I have a question for you." Jiraiya looked surprised but told Naruto to continue. "Am I the strongest because I'm Naruto? Or because I'm Naruto, I am the strongest?" Jiraiya was rather surprised by that question, as he didn't have any answer to that. "I guess even with your wisdom, you're not able to answer, huh?" Would Dad be able to answer if I asked him? As Jiraiya looked at him, well, to be honest, He knew Minato was a genius, just like you, but before the facts is that you're stronger than most people in the world. Only the likes of maybe Hiruzen Sensei can contend with you, as he is the only Fushinobi that can get through that infinity of yours. He said as Naruto stood up, I've decided that I'll become a teacher. He said as Jiraiya was surprised. A teacher? Why all of a sudden? Itachi left, and to be honest, I rather feel lonely. I don't want anyone to go through the feeling of loneliness. I'll foster the next generation, and my generation as well, after that, so that I can change this corrupt ninja system. Naruto said as Jiraiya was shocked. He couldn't believe that Naruto was only 8 years old. As he smiled and looked at the picture in the wall, Minato, your son will grow up to be a fine shinobi, he thought as Jiraiya spoke. By the way, brat, do you have any copies of your seal? He asked as Naruto nodded and handed them over to Jiraiya, and the old hermit disappeared. As Jiraiya was running, only one thought ran through his mind. I have no doubt that Naruto is the child of prophecy. It had been a month since Kushina had thrown the twins the 8th birthday party, and she had started training with them. She had been trying to teach them how to unlock their chakra, and even with her guidance, the twins had succeeded this morning. That had to be some kind of record. She was currently starting to cook dinner, having turned on the stove, heating up her cast iron skillet so she could make a stir fry. It was as she was doing this that she heard Jiraiya barge in through the front door, and with a loud greeting at that. Oh wow, it's good to be back here, Jiraiya explained. I'm glad you're here now, Jiraiya, she offered. I'm just getting dinner ready, and I'm sure you're hungry. You have no idea, Jiraiya replied. Kushina called Mita and Menma, introducing them to their grandpa Jiraiya. Both of them managed to find a place in his heart quite easily as he got on the floor with them and played with them until the dinner was ready. The meal was pleasant, with Jiraiya getting to know the two excitable little rascals. It was also surly because it was shortly after the meal was over, Kushina declared the kids' bedtime. Both of them groaned and complained, but also complied, knowing better than to argue with their scary-ass mother. Once they were in their bed asleep, Kushina began talking to Jiraiya, who was smiling fondly over his time with the kids once again. I have had one hell of a time trying to teach the kids. They're both a bit slow, definitely more on the physical than the caliber, if you get my drift. Hey Kushina, I needed to take a look at something, he answered before pulling a couple of pictures out of his pocket and handing them over to her. Kushina examined the picture that she was given. It was a very clear image of a very complex seal. She looked at it critically, not understanding what he wanted her to do. Study that seal carefully, Kushina, Jiraiya instructed, and tell me what you see. She did as she was asked, studying the seal very carefully. It almost took her half an hour to determine the full capabilities of the seal. She even had to pull out some of the papers and pens so she could take some of the notes from missing some kind of function. It just wasn't a seal, it was a magnificent work of art. Even the seals on the kid's stomach didn't compare to the seal that she was looking at. It was far beyond anything she was capable of. She would dare to say that no Uzumaki had ever made a seal so complex or so perfect. She had seen the Uzumaki clan seal works, and none of them described anything that was as complex as this seal in Jiraiya's picture. It's amazing. The way the seals in the array are all synchronized, even with the two high power based seals, this could seal off anything and everything. The seal master wanted it would really work perfectly. I don't think I could ever even begin to replicate this. She examined stated really excitedly. What would you imagine the limits of that seal being? Jiraiya asked. I don't think it has any, she exclaimed. Looking at it, I'd imagine it could seal off all the 9-tailed beasts into one host and still have power for more. So then, this is the seal that you would trust without a doubt? I would trust this seal with my life. If Kushina's voice trailed off, breaking the silence. If only Naruto had this seal, I'd still have my son. Kushina. Jiraiya begins sadly, letting out a sigh before giving her the second picture and telling her, "This is Naruto's seal." Her eyes went wide and dumbfounded. Fear-filled shock. What did you just say? The seal was Minato's last work, his masterpiece. Jiraiya explained, pointing towards the second picture, a picture of Naruto as a baby with the seal exposed, with Hiruzen absolutely adoring the baby and him making funny faces. He appeared to be giggling happily. He put it on Naruto to seal the soul and the body of the QB completely, making sure it had no chance of ever taking over his own son body. I was surprised myself when I saw this picture in Sensei's office, but Minato really outdid himself with this one. Hell, I would say he outdid every seal master I've ever heard of with what he made. She stood up in horror and took a step back into collapse a moment later, her legs refusing to hold her up. Her eyes began to well up into tears of horror, anguish, and torturous remorse. How could she have not seen the complexity of the seal that night and checked the triplets? She remembered back to the night of her birth, the ripping of the biju from her body and the emotional distress of Minato, knowing that he was taking his dying breath. She hadn't even bothered to study the seals at length until she had made it here. She didn't notice the incantations of the seal at first glance. She had just stabilized them with her chakra as quick as possible. "No," Kushina whispered in utter horror, her tears beginning to fall. 8 years. 8 years where she could have had her son with her. 8 years of precious memories, all thrown away. "No," she whispered out again, putting her hand to her mouth. She never remembered seeing his first steps. "No," she said again. She began to raise her voice as the sobs began to force through to her throat. 8 years of missed birthdays, missed present, missed chances to tuck him into bed and kiss him goodnight every day. She didn't even have a clue of how he was living, or if he was healthy or happy, or if anyone was taking care of him. She let out a huge yell as, with her eyes clenched shut, her voice completely broke down as her sobs gave way out to bawling. She clutched to the picture of Naruto to her chest as she did this, hanging her head and almost collapsing to the floor, and if not for Jiraiya moving fast enough catch her and hold her while she swept uncontrollably. "I'm sorry, Kushina," he offered. He simply didn't have the heart to remind her that he and Sarutobi had told her off what she was just now acknowledging, that Naruto was in fact her son, that he was well and alive and well-being, and that he never was being possessed by the QB at any point of his life. "Oh my god, what have I done?" She waited. My Naruto. I left him alone. I abandoned him." She cried out even louder. "I even threatened to kill him. What have I done?" Her cries became so forceful that she lost the ability to form words. She was crying as hard as she ever could. This went on for almost half an hour before Kushina had cried herself to horses. Jiraiya marveled at the fact that the kids had remained, fast and asleep in the room. Kushina must have placed some kind of silencing seal in the room so that their rest wouldn't be disturbed by any, thing going on in the home. "Oh my god," she whispered with a renewed horror. "What would Minato think of me if he saw me now? What would he say to me?" "Kushina, Minato already knew this would happen," Jiraiya explained. "Sensei told me that Minato saw how you looked at Naruto, and he took steps just in case what he feared to happen." And Kushina sniffled. "It did. I did the worst thing imaginable. I abandoned his son, my son." In a sudden burst of determination, she wiped away her tears and stood up, moving towards her door as Jiraiya watched in confusion. "Where are you going, Kushina?" he asked. Without stopping, she answered, "I need to send a message to Konoha by the messenger hawk." I'm going to tell the third Hokage to expect me morning and tomorrow. You're gonna what? I'm going to bring my boy back home. She fired back, opening and closing the door in front of her as she left through it. She was back a few minutes later, and Jiraiya had just waited for her return in the living room. Kushina, are you sure you're going to do this? Jiraiya asked warningly. It doesn't matter if I do or do not. I'm bringing my Naruto home. I'm going to apologize for not being there, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make up to him. I won't let him stay alone anymore. As long as I get the message, I'm leaving for Konoha. Both of them stayed up throughout the night. It was a couple of hours before the dawn that a messenger hawk was delivered from a response from Sarutobi stating the usual condition. Kushina stood up and prepared to leave the house once more. I'm heading out, Jiraiya. Take care of Narumi and Mito for me. I'll be back as soon as I can. She left the house before he could say anything more, speeding away to Konoha as fast as her legs and the tree lops allowed. The sun was just beginning to peek over the horizon as Kushina arrived at Konoha's gate. They looked a fierce light better than what they did when she came out 4 years ago, and even then the damage caused by the QB that night was completely repaired without any trace of it ever happening or even being there. She checked in with the gate guards, who had indeed been expecting her arrival, though not quite so early, and waited for her envoy to escort her to the Hokage's office. She only waited a few minutes, surprised that Sarutobi was awake and working at this early. It had just passed 6 o'clock in the morning, and the village was a whole still asleep. The envoy took her soul by the shoulder, and without any other word, he used the Sunshin to get himself and her to the Hokage's tower. Hokage-sama, escorting Kushina-sama to your head office as ordered, he said with a nod and acknowledgement from Hiruzen. The envoy vanished. Hiruzen's eyes hardened as they focused on Kushina. He asked coldly, "What business brings you here, Uzumaki-san?" Hiruzen asked. "Hokage-sama." Kushina greeted him formally with a humble bow, surprising the man. "I have realized how badly I messed up as I abandoned my baby boy all those years ago. I am asking." She got to her knees and bent her hands and head to the floor. "No, sir, I am begging you. Please let me see my Naruto so that I can bring him home." A growl from Sarutobi's throat caused Kushina to lift her head. Despite the tears that were begging to fall down Kushina's face, the Hokage's eyes remained steadfast in their iciness. "After what you have pulled, both the night and the years afterwards, you expect me to suddenly believe you have seen the light and now want to make up for your mistakes? I understand your doubts, Hokage-sama. I don't blame you for having them, but Jiraiya showed me the seal needed to put on Naruto. He made me study it in depth, and I could see that there is no chance of the demon taking over. Please, Hokage-sama, let me bring him home. Or at least let me bring my boys back here so that we can live together in the village with him." "No, Uzumaki-san, I cannot do that. More to the point, I won't do that," he said as he flinched at the tone as she became even more desperate. "Please give me back my son. I'm begging you. Please, Hiruzen." He glared at her when she used his name, but she didn't stop. "I need him just as much as he needs me. Please, I'm begging on my knees here. Believe me when I say I love my son," she said in tears. He sighed, rubbing his temples as his will wavered a little. "Even if I do believe you, Uzumaki-san, it's not that simple. He's experienced some rather traumatic experience in his life recently. I cannot bring the news of you abandoning him right now. It would break him completely in the condition he's right now. No, Uzumaki-san, I won't let you anywhere near him for your safety rather than his. I pleaded to you before you left and again for the years and the letters, and that he needs his mother, but you refused to hear any of it. Why should your pleas move me now? The truth is, I'm not sure if I even want him to know that you exist," he said as she looked at him, her tears falling down even harder now. "What do you mean by traumatic accidents? Tell me, what happened to my son?" she asked. His eyes hardened. Hiruzen looked at her. Your son is currently a Jonin at 8 years old, and recently the entire Uchiha clan was killed by only one person that understood him the best, Itachi. The fact that he is hated by the villagers and no one of his age group are his friends, and right now he's completely alone. You know, he declared his goal to me a few hours ago, that he will become a Jonin sensei when his age group graduates, and he will foster the next generation so that no one will suffer the loneliness that he is experiencing right now. This conversation is over. Leave, Uzumaki-san. Our business is concluded. Tori, Neko. He said as he tried to plead more, but he released the privacy shield and flared his chakra as the two Anbu came into the room kneeling. Escort Uzumaki-san to the gate and send her on her way. He ordered the two. Before the two Anbu could act, however, Kushina stood her feet. She planted herself in the floor using the 4 chakra chains and flooded the room with extraordinarily powerful killing intent, causing the Anbu to wrench and even make the Hokage sweat a bit. Hiruzen Sarutobi, I will not be dismissed so easily and casually. If you want me to send me to Ipikimori when we are done here, then I will go without resisting. But I am not leaving or moving from this spot until you have given me the time I deserve for making this trip. Do you understand me? She sneered out at him, furious at the top of her lungs through the tears of anguish and frustration, shocking him with her furious determination. As Hiruzen was about to stand his release his own killing intent, someone was behind Kushina as he had his 2 fingers pointed at her head. Curse technique reversal. Red. He said as the ball of energy was at the tip of his fingers. I would suggest you calm down, unless you want to get your head blown off. And even though you don't matter to me, my siblings do. And they would be left without their mother. Naruto said. Kushina started to sweat from the pressure that she was feeling. Naruto, stand down. She won't do anything. As soon as Hiruzen said that, Kushina's eyes widened as she turned around to see him. He was a solid 5'1" inches in height. He had long red hair similar to her own, and also his face matched her, and those eyes, it reminded her so much of Minato. As he went to hug him, she stopped a few inches away from him. What? Kushina thought, as Naruto walked towards Hiruzen and handed him some papers. These are the papers of Sayuri sifting in with me, and me being a legal guardian. Naruto said as Hiruzen took the papers, and Kushina tried to put her hands on Naruto's shoulder. But again, she was stopped by an invisible force. It's my infinity. The closer you get, the slower you get. In theory, you will never be able to touch me, unless you have something that nullifies ninjutsu as a whole. Naruto said as Kushina was stunned. Then she remembered Minato showing her the scrolls about his clan. You have the limitless and the 6 eyes, don't you? She asked. As Naruto nodded, he turned towards her. Trying to ask for my forgiveness is stupid. Even though the old man told me that you died with my dad, it was suspicious as to why they wouldn't have a grave and the names of shinobi who died fighting the Kyuubi. So I concluded that you have abandoned me, and to be honest, I really don't care. I'm well over it now, and I have goals that I want to achieve, which I can reassure you that my siblings, they get along with Sayuri, will be on my team when they graduate. And with that, Naruto disappeared, leaving Kushina, who was in shock. I guess I deserve that, huh? She said, as Hiruzen didn't say anything. Can I see him again, Hiruzen? Only from a far distance. He has the 6 eyes, meaning within a certain distance, he will be able to sense you. And trust me, Kushina, you don't want to anger him. He said as he took out his crystal ball, and both of them watched Naruto in the training ground of the Namikaze compound, with Sayuri as she was huffing and puffing, as he threw another punch and missed, as Naruto had turned off his infinity as he continued to dodge her punch. Not fast enough, Naruto said as he put his hand in front of her face. And right there, if it was a kunai instead of my palm, and he would be dead. He said as Sayuri dropped to her butt as he was huffing. I can use my Sharingan and do that, you know. she said as Naruto sighed and flicked her on the forehead. You need to increase your base stats first. The shotting gun will add on to that. That is what I did with my 6 eyes. Naruto said as he stood up. This is your first day of training. I'll make us dinner and eat, and then eat and go to sleep. We'll wake up early in the morning and train again. As he nodded, who's that girl? Kushina asked. Sayuri Uchiha, the last surviving member of the Uchiha clan. She is also the daughter of your old friend Mikoto. Kushina got a smile hearing that. I'm glad, she said, as Hiruzen looked at her. At least he won't be alone. At least he'll have someone who can understand him. Even if I'm not there, this is fine, she said as she was satisfied, at least a little. As she looked at the window to see the sun was almost up. The kids will be awake soon, in a few hours.
But
I need to go. Thank you for taking care of my son. She had returned to the fire capital by the late afternoon, and had now entered the Uzumaki estate. As soon as she entered, Jiraiya came to greet her, but saw a tear-stained face and no little boy in hand, though she had a yet sad and hopeful smile. He could see, while she hadn't gotten over what she wanted, she had been able to walk away with Hiruzen giving her something. Time skip 4 years later. Naruto was in the Hokage's office. As he had grown, he was a solid 5'7" in height, and also had sunglasses on, as he was going to some papers as he sighed. So, they're coming back, huh? And you want me to sign this so that they can live in the many apartments that my father owned, and by extension, I own now. As Hiruzen nodded as Naruto sighed. Fine, he said as he signed the papers. Today is the graduation test. Do you plan on giving Sayuri anything? Hiruzen said as Naruto smirked. Maybe, he said as he vanished as Hiruzen chuckled, as Naruto was at the memorial stone with Kakashi. So today, finally, your dream is starting, huh? Kakashi asked as Naruto nodded as he knelt down in front of the grave. Dad, today my siblings and Kushina is coming back. And also I'm gonna be starting my journey as a Jonin instructor. I hope you keep watching over me as you always have, he said as he dropped off the flowers as he looked at Kakashi. My relationship with Kushina is bad, but yours, on the other hand, I suspect is pretty good, so why don't you go ahead and visit her? Naruto said as Kakashi nodded. Maybe that was a good idea. Naruto walked into the classroom that his Genin team would be meeting him at. As he opened the door, Naruto shouted the names Sayuri Uchiha, Menma, and Mito Uzumaki. Come to the rooftop immediately. As by saying that, Naruto vanished. As the kids arrived at the rooftop and saw Naruto looking at the sky. Take a seat, he said as all the Genins nodded and took their seats. As he looked at Menma and Mito, they really seemed nervous. Okay, let's start by introducing ourselves. I'll go first. Name is Namikaze Naruto. My likes are training, dislikes the Konoha old gears, especially the Danzo. And my goal is complex, so I'll explain it some other day. Naruto said as all of them nodded. Sayuri, you go first, he said as he nodded and introduced herself. Her name is Sayuri Uchiha. Likes are training and spending time with a specific someone, she said as he glanced at Naruto. Our dislikes? Well, I hate tomatoes, and my goal is to find out what happened to my clan, she said, as Naruto gave her a warm smile hearing that. As he looked at Menma, you next, he said. As Menma nodded, my name is Menma Uzumaki. Likes are my mom and sister. Dislikes, well, it is when mom becomes super angry, and my goal is to become the Hokage. As Naruto smirked, the same goal as that, huh? He thought, as he looked at Mito, who nodded and started. My name is Mito Uzumaki. My likes are my family and training. Dislikes are perverts, and my goal is to protect my family and also reunite it. He said as Naruto was a little taken back by that, but he smiled. Explain the rules of the exams. Naruto did that pretty much. He explained that how, they only have 66% of passing, and the graduation test was just, so that they could become, enough to, so that he could take their test, so that they were qualifying enough for that. So yeah, that's the thing. He told him to come off at some time. Naruto didn't tell him to come, 3 hours early or anything. He just told him to come and he'll come in time. As the next morning happened, as all of them were on the same place at the same time, as Naruto spoke. Okay, so you see this, Naruto said as he took out a bell from his pouch. All you have to do is take it from me and you pass. As the Genins looked at him. But Naruto, there's only one bell, Sayuri said, as Menma and Mito nodded, as Naruto smiled. Because only one of you will pass. No more explanation needed. You have 5 hours and your time starts now. He said as the Genins vanished, but obviously Naruto could tell all of their location as he felt Sayuri heading towards Mito. And then after some time, Mito and Sayuri heading towards Menma, as Naruto smirked. Sayuri, so she figured it out, huh? I guess I trained her well enough. And now, Naruto thought as he opened his eyes, as he dodged a chain that was coming towards him. As then he met a 3 Tomoe shouting on Sayuri as he had a purple lightning in her hand as he sent a stream of lightning towards him as a chain came out of the ground and pounded Naruto as Sayuri's lightning struck him and Naruto puffed into smoke. Not bad. They saw Naruto on a tree branch sipping some tea as they all got tick mark on their forehead. Come down here and we'll show you, Menma said, as Naruto smirked. 5 minutes later, all the Genins were lying on their face first on the ground, with the bruises all over their body as Naruto was still sipping his tea. By the way, you guys pass, he said as all of them looked at him. Seriously? Mito said, as Naruto nodded. Someone told me this, and it always stayed with me. Those who abandon their rules are scum. True, but those who abandon their comrades are even worse scum than that. Naruto said as he smiled. How about I treat you guys to a bowl of ramen since we are finally Team 7. And by the way, just forgot to mention it. Sakura doesn't exist in this timeline, okay? I don't want her in this timeline. Again, I don't hate Sakura, okay? Just before we go, I don't hate her. I hated her in Naruto Part 1, but I don't hate her in Naruto Part 2. In the second part, Naruto, she actually has a decent character, even though she is annoying sometimes. Nighttime. Naruto came back to his home as he smelled something delicious as he saw Sayuri cooking. As he smiled, as Sayuri sensed him and turned towards him. As he smiled, "You're back. Dinner will be ready soon," she said as Naruto nodded and went behind her. "Congrats on passing, Without you, they wouldn't have passed," he said as he smiled. You and Kakashi quite literally put the concept of teamwork in my mind, so it wasn't that bad," she said as Naruto chuckled. As then Naruto heard his doorbell ring as he opened the door to see Kushina and his 2 siblings. As he looked at Kushina, as she couldn't speak as he was looking down. "Hey Naruto-sensei," Menma said as Naruto looked at Menma. "Outside mission, call me bro. I mean, I'm your brother, right? And the same goes for you too, Mito," he said as Menma and Mito nodded, as they had a huge smile on their faces as the Naruto looked at Kushina. "Why don't you all come in? Dinner is almost ready," he said as Kushina looked at him. "Really? Me too?" she asked as Naruto turned around. "Well, if you don't wanna, that's also fine," as Kushina smiled. "I would love to," she said as they entered the house as Menma blushing Sayuri in an apron cooking as Kushina looked at the girl. "I wonder if she and Naruto are," as she thought that Sayuri looked at them. "Oh, we have guests," she said as then she looked at Kushina and then at Naruto, who nodded as he smiled. "Well, sit there, dinner is almost ready," she said as Kushina immediately went to help the girl as the rest of them were sitting on the table. As everyone sat down, there was an awkward silence as Naruto spoke. "Since you both are on my team, I would like to hear what kind of jutsus you guys can do," he asked as Menma and Mito told him what they could do. That was the Rasengan for Menma, and for Mito she could use the basics of those Uzumaki chains. Naruto would nod as he stood up and came back with a scroll. "This contains the formula of the Flying Thunder God, a technique that our father was famous for using. I want you to have it. Since you said you're good in seals." Menma looked at the scroll as he grinned and nodded. After the people there had a nice conversation, as Naruto even talked to Kushina as the family was at the end of the dinner. Kushina looked at Sayuri with a strange look. So, Sayuri, are you and Naruto dating? Sayuri, who was drinking her water, spit it all out at Naruto, whose infinity blocked the water as Sayuri was red. She couldn't complete as Naruto sighed. Yeah, we are, he said as Sayuri looked at him. You tell me not to tell others, he said as Naruto shrugged it off. I said that because I have many people who want me dead because of my dad, and also myself. I made a fair share of enemies, and if they knew I was significant someone, they would get to any lengths to get you since they can't do anything to me. She glared at him as Kushina smiled. I see. Please take care of Naruto, she said as Sayuri looked surprised but nodded. Kushina wanted to act like a protective mother, but she knew she didn't have any say in who Naruto was dating, as she wasn't the one who raised him. As then for a month the team did D-rank mission. As more than the team, Naruto was getting ticked off as he was in the front of Hiruzen with his team. Hey old man, I think my team is more than ready for a C rank or even a B rank mission, Naruto said as Hiruzen chuckled. It's you who's getting bored from these missions, Naruto. Then your students, since you were always sent on A or a S rank mission before you became a Jonin instructor, as Naruto looked away while whistling. I have no idea what you're talking about, he said as Hiruzen sighed. Bring in Tazuna, Hiruzen said, as he explained the mission to Naruto, who nodded and listened to Tazuna, his movements, and found it somewhat weird. Like Tazuna was scared. Is he lying? Well, it doesn't matter. I doubt it is something that I cannot handle, Naruto thought as he told the Genin to pack. As then Naruto and Sayuri were waiting on the gates of Konoha, as then Kushina and her kids came towards them. As Naruto looked at Kushina, she seemed worried. As Naruto went towards her and put a hand on her shoulder. Don't worry, as long as I'm there, nothing will happen to them, he said as Kushina looked at him, as he became a lot more relaxed and nodded as the team headed for the mission, and the Demon Brothers attacked, which the Genins take care of them, and Naruto asked Tazuna what the hell is going on. Tazuna, realizing that he was caught, explained everything to the team as Naruto sighed, as he got an idea in his head. This could be a good learning experience for them, and as Naruto told everyone that they should continue this mission, as then soon enough as the gang would be walking towards, as Naruto would sense something as he would tell everyone to duck, but then he himself wouldn't duck as he would cast a sword in his hand, as Zabuza would land on a tree. Would you mind giving me back my blade? As Zabuza would say that, Naruto would smile and throw it back at Zabuza. Here, he said, as Zabuza caught the blade, as he blinked several times, as he got a closer look on the boy. His eyes widened. Now, this is surprising. Namikaze Naruto, he said, as Naruto smiled. Ah, so you knew of me. I am honored, Zabuza, he said as Zabuza chuckled. Looks like I have to go all out from the beginning. You know, those brats will slow you down, he said as the mist covered the area. How Zabuza released his killing intent as all the Genins were shivering in fear. But then they heard a voice. You'll all be okay. Just stay close to me and absorb this battle, he said as the Genins relaxed and nodded as Zabuza came towards him swinging his blade, but then again he couldn't touch Naruto. But Zabuza, surprised, he was pulled towards Naruto as Naruto planted a nasty punch on Zabuza's stomach, who coughed out blood. What's this? This can't be a normal punch. What is this? He thought as he was kicked away. As Zabuza was in midair, Naruto spoke. Infinity exists everywhere. All my Jutsu does is bring it to reality. Curse technique reversal. Red. Naruto said as Zabuza was blown away. As Zabuza was in midair, Naruto appeared above him, grabbed him by the face, and slammed him to the ground. As the smoke cleared, the Genins and Tazuna saw Zabuza out cold, and Naruto standing above him. as the Genins were shocked that Naruto took out a Jonin with this ease, and then Haku would try to do something to save Zabuza, but Naruto would take care of him with ease as well. Naruto would look at Haku after tying him down. So tell me, where is Gato's base? And I will let you and him go. Naruto said as Haku looked at him and then at Zabuza. And if I don't, Haku said. The smile and the goofiness in Naruto's face disappeared as he turned serious. I will kill you and him right here, right now, he said as Haku could tell that he wasn't joking around, as he told him that Gato's base as Naruto smiled. As Zabuza was still locked out, Naruto pretty much told Haku to take Zabuza and get lost from here and not to interfere with the gang anymore and their mission. And Haku, being smart enough, did exactly as Naruto told her. Soon everything would go without a hitch as soon as Naruto alone would go to the Gato's base, killing everyone there and then bring out Gato to the village and leaving him to the people of the village and their mercy. And the bridge would be named the Great Naruto Bridge as the team would return. Then Naruto would register his team to the tuning exams, and well, then the team would simply pass the first round without any difficulty. And then the second round would begin, where the team would be attacked by Orochimaru. Sayuri, being stronger here in this case, would really work against her, as Orochimaru would be even more interested in her as he has the 3 Tomoe Sharingan and is overall stronger, as everything else happens the same as it did in the original, where Orochimaru used transformation jutsu to watch Sasuke's progress in the case. In this case, he wouldn't risk it as Naruto would be there and he could easily see through any transformation jutsu. So Naruto, after Sayuri finishes her battle, would take her to seal the curse mark, as his other 2 teammates would win their respective matches, and the finals matches would be announced. The only difference is those who will have to fight Mito in this case. Nighttime, Namikaze household. What? A scream was heard as Naruto covered his ears. Hey, it's not that bad, he said as Sayuri glared at him. You're telling me you are training Menma, Jiraiya is training Mito, and Kakashi is my trainer? She asked as Naruto nodded. Sorry, the fact is there's only so much I can teach you about the Sharingan. The one who can teach you about the Sharingan the best is Kakashi. He said as Sayuri sighed. I guess I get it, but still. He said as Naruto patted her on the head. Don't worry, I'm not replacing you with Menma or anything. You will always be my number 1. He said as she smiled and hugged him, as Naruto smiled. Next morning, Menma was in front of Naruto. Okay, I'm hyped up for this. He said as Naruto nodded. It's been roughly 2 months since I gave you the scroll of the Flying Thunder God. Did you figure it out? Yes, as Menma nodded. Well, I understand it for the most part, he said, as Naruto smiled. So first thing is we're gonna work on your speed and also your chakra control. You can create up to 500 shadow clones, right? Yes, as Menma nodded. I want you to create 300 clones for right now, in which 100 will work on your chakra control, the other 100 will work on bringing out the Nine Tails power, and the rest will work on the Flying Rise gene. And while you do that, you by yourself will work on increasing your strength and speed. Naruto said as Menma nodded. Somewhere else, Orochimaru checked the seal as he smirked. Yeah, this should work. This should keep the Namikaze Naruto out while I deal with the third, Orochimaru said. Time skip. 1 month later. All the Genins were present as the tuning exams begin. Menma beat Neji with rather ease because, well, Menma is first of all faster than Lee without his weights on. He has the Kyuubi's chakra in him and also the Flying Thunder God. So it's pretty one-sided for the most part. The second round is Kankuro vs Kushina, where Kankuro forfeits. The third round is Sika versus Temari, which obviously goes the same as the original, where Temari wins because Shikamaru is too lazy to win. And the other fight is Doshu vs Mito. Well, Doshu got murked by Gaara, so yeah, Mito wins via disqualification. The last fight is between Sayuri and Gaara, in which case this is even a bigger one-sided stomp than it was in the original. Now, Sayuri is way stronger than Sasuke in the original, as Naruto outside the village as he was analyzing the seal that was there, but then suddenly many explosions went off and the barrier around the village went off. As Naruto tried to enter, as he realized that he couldn't, as he saw huge snakes entering the village. So it's a barrier to only keep me out, huh? Naruto thought. As everything pretty much happens the same, as Hiruzen versus Orochimaru goes on, Sayuri goes after Gaara, and then Mita and Menma follow her as they are able to best Gaara until it becomes a full Shikaku, and then Mita summons Gamabunta because he was training with Jiraiya, defeats Gaara completely this time, and then the Sand siblings are about to leave with Gaara. The barrier disappears as in the sky, all the sound and Sand Ninja get a terrified look on their faces as they would see Naruto in the sky looking down, as he didn't have his sunglasses on, meaning he had his 6 eyes in full display. As Naruto analyzed Konoha, he saw that they were retreating, as then he saw his team as they had beaten Gaara. So he saw Sand Jonin coming towards them, as Naruto teleported in front of him, as the Jonin was about to attack Sayuri but stopped when Naruto arrived in front of him. He only stopped for 2 seconds as he attacked Naruto, as Naruto grinned and the man's arms were blown into pieces and he was sent crossing into a tree. Then Naruto sensed it. Orochimaru, he's escaping, huh? They are quite far away from here. Well then, I guess I have no choice. I'll just have to be a little rough, he said. Curse technique amplification, blue. Curse technique reversal, red. Kakashi, we have to go after them, Guy shouted. Everyone stop. Don't move an inch towards Orochimaru, or you'll get caught in it. The Anbu and every ninja was there confused as the 2 balls of energy behind Naruto started to merge. Hollow technique. Purple. Naruto said as the blast was launched at Orochimaru, who was in a distance and saw the blast coming. Damn you, Namikaze, he said, as he along with the Force Sound Forward completely wiped off from the face of the earth. Time skip. Next day. Everyone was mourning for the losses they had suffered, and mainly the loss of the 3rd Hokage. And Jiraiya and Naruto were a distance away. Looks like you'll have to take over as the Hokage, Naruto said as Jiraiya laughed. As if you know better than anyone that I'm not suited for that position, he said as Naruto chuckled. It was a painful one as he just didn't show it. He and Jiraiya both were sad by the loss of the 3rd Hokage. Yeah, I guess you're right. And much as I thought, so just in case the old man dies, I took measures. Jiraiya looked at him, and what would that be? I marked Tsunade when we met her with a flying thunder god marking, he said as Jiraiya blinked, as he smacked his head. You know, I still can't believe that you know that jutsu and rarely use it, he said as Naruto waved his hand. So, when are you planning to go after her, and who will you take with you? Naruto smirked. Sayuri, of course, he said as Jiraiya looked at him. Well, that's interesting, he said as Naruto smirked. Next day, Naruto was smiling as he looked at Tsunade, who had a tick mark on her forehead. So yeah, that pretty much sums it, Naruto said as Tsunade drank another sip of her sake. So you want me to become the Hokage, he said. As Naruto nodded, he started to laugh as Naruto sighed. How about this? If you come back, I'll pay all of your debt, he said as that immediately got Tsunade and Shizune's attention. Tsunade knew that he could do it, he had enough money for that, and she started to think about it and then sighed. Fine then, I'll come back, she said as Naruto smirked. Very well then, let's go, he said, but before leaving he looked at her. And also, if you try to leave or do anything sketchy, I will kill you, he said as Tsunade looked at Naruto's 6 eyes, and she knew he was serious, as Naruto walked away. Soon enough, Tsunade did as Naruto told her and came back to the village. First fact, she knew she couldn't defeat Naruto, and Naruto did have the power to kill her, so she didn't want to be killed, so yes, he came back to the village. And second, Naruto would pay off all of her debt, so it's a win-win situation overall. Naruto, being the man of his words, paid out all her debt. Now, as I told you guys, the Sound Forward killed when Naruto launched his Hollow Purple. And as for Orochimaru, well, he can just pop back up like he did in the original using Anko, Curse Mark, and in this case, there are more than like 100 people who have a Curse Mark, so he would do it without any, difficulty, and Orochimaru would be back. Itachi would come to the village during this time, but Sayuri, being with Naruto and Jiraiya, who is with Mito and Menma, Kisame and Itachi can't do anything and just retreat. And Jiraiya tells Naruto about the Akatsuki and he takes Menma and Mito for a training trip, and Sayori will train with Naruto for the time skip. And yeah, that pretty much sums it all, and this is the end of part 1 of the series. The next part will cover the entire time skip and we will bring the series to an end. But I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and if you did, please like and subscribe to the channel, and while you're at it, also share this video with many of your friends as possible. But without taking much of your time, I thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.